Dick Whittington. Long, long ago, a young boy named Dick Whittington lived in England. He had no father and mother, so he had to beg for food. Some days, he was lucky to get even a crust of bread and some potato peelings. Dick always listened when people spoke, so he had heard many strange stories about the wonderful city of London. In London, people sang all day long, and the streets were paved with gold. One day, Dick heard a wagoner say that he was heading for London, so the boy decided that he would also go. It was a long journey, and Dick was tired when he finally reached the city. But he ran off at once to find the streets that were paved with gold. By nightfall, he had found nothing but dirt and common paving stones. Exhausted, he fell asleep in a dark corner. When he awoke, it was morning, and he was very hungry. He asked everyone he met if they would give him some money for something to eat. But he got very little, and soon he grew weak. One evening, Dick lay down in the doorway of Mr. Fitzwarren, a rich merchant. Mr. Fitzwarren's cook had a terrible temper. When she saw Dick, she cried,
"Be off with you, or I will douse you with dishwater."
At that very moment, Mr. Fitzwarren arrived. He ordered the servants to take Dick inside and give him a good meal. And when the boy was strong enough, he was given a job in the kitchen. Dick's days were miserable because of the sour temper of the cook. She scolded and mocked him. When she was not basting the meats, she picked up a broom and basted poor Dick about the head and shoulders. At last, someone reported the cook's behavior to Miss Alice, Mr. Fitzwarren's daughter. Miss Alice said that the cook would have to go if she could not be kinder to the boy. At night, Dick slept in the attic, where there were countless rats and mice. One day, he earned a penny by shining a gentleman's shoes. With the penny, he bought a cat who was good at catching mice. He kept the cat in his room with him. Soon, the last of the rats and mice were gone. Now, whenever one of Mr. Fitzwarren's trading ships was ready to sail, he called his servants into the parlor. It was his practice to have every servant send something to trade. Whatever they received in return was theirs to keep. Of course, Dick had nothing to trade except his cat. So the master said, "Then you shall send your cat." Dick brought the cat down from the attic and sadly handed her over. Everyone laughed at such a strange trading venture. But Dick had nothing to laugh about. He knew that now he would be troubled by rats and mice again. The cook constantly teased him about sending his cat away. "How much do you think you will get in return for your cat?" she mocked. "Enough to buy a new broom for me to beat you with?" Then she would beat him with the kitchen broom. Finally, Dick could stand it no longer. He made up his mind to run away. It did not take long to pack what little he had. He started out very early one morning and walked all the way to Holloway, where he sat down on a stone to rest. He wondered which road he should take. Then he heard the bells of Bow Church ringing, and they seemed to say, "Turn again, Whittington, thrice Lord Mayor of London." My, thought Dick, if I will someday be Lord Mayor of London, then I can put up with anything the cook dishes out. And he turned and headed back to London. He managed to sneak inside and get to work before the cook came into the kitchen. Meanwhile, Mr. Fitzwarren's trading ship was driven far off course and landed on the Barbary coast. The captain sent gifts to the king in hopes of trading away some of the ship's cargo. The king was so impressed by the gifts that he invited the captain to his palace. A rich meal was laid out before them, but hundreds of rats and mice immediately scurried into the banquet hall and began eating all the food. The king and queen said that this happened all the time. It was quite annoying. At night, it was even worse. At once, the captain thought of Dick Whittington's cat.
I have on board my ship a creature that could rid your land of these pests,
he said.
Then bring this remarkable creature to me,
replied the king.
In return, I will load your ship with gold and precious jewels.
So the captain went to fetch the cat. While he was gone, another feast was prepared and set out. By the time the captain returned with the cat, the banquet hall was again filled with rats and mice. The cat went right to work. In a few moments, the cat had caught nearly all the pests. The few who managed to escape fled to their holes in terror. The king was so pleased that he agreed to buy all the cargo that was on the ship, but he paid 10 times as much for the cat as he did for everything else. When the captain returned to England, he told Mr. Fitzwarren all that had happened. He told him about selling all the cargo that had been on the ship. He told him about the fortune that had been paid for Dick Whittington's cat. Then Mr. Fitzwarren said,
Go fetch the lad, and do not err. Be certain that you call him sir.
So Dick Whittington was brought up from the kitchen, where he had been scouring pots and kettles. Mr. Fitzwarren ordered a chair brought for him, so that he might be as comfortable as possible. At first, Dick thought they were making fun of him. He asked them to let him go back to his work in the kitchen. But then he was told that his cat had been sold to the King of Barbary, and he was now a rich young man.
Mr. Whittington,
said Mr. Fitzwarren,
you are now even more wealthy than I. May you long enjoy your riches.
Dick offered some of his fortune to Mr. and Mrs. Fitzwarren and to Miss Alice, but they all refused. So he gave gifts to the captain of the ship, to the servants, and even to the evil-tempered cook. This done, he went off to a tailor shop, so he might be dressed like a gentleman instead of a servant. He began courting Miss Alice, and before long they were married. The history books say that they lived long, happy lives and had a number of children. Richard Whittington went on to become the Sheriff of London. He even received the great honor of knighthood from the king. And just as the bells of Bow had foretold many years before, he was elected 3 times as Lord Mayor of London.